really interesting updates. I put out several new updates to a variety of different projects. I can't even remember what I did on Monday, let alone where we are today. But it's been another wild and exciting week in the world of AI. Hey Rob, how's it going?
Good, good. Yeah, I came back and I feel like there's a year's worth of innovation I've got to get up to speed on.
And
Gone for
you're
10
wearing.
days and it's just
Yeah.
crazy how much has happened in the last 10 days.
Wow. Yeah, you went to Belgium and the Netherlands. Are those clogs I see you wearing earlier?
Yeah, tried them on. Yeah, that's right. I was at the DevOps conference in Belgium in Antwerp. And wow, what a beautiful city. Really, really beautiful. Great conference too. I'll give a little lightning talk on it later in the show. But yeah, it was really fun. Nice trip, beautiful trip.
So are you team Flemish or Walloon? That's all I know about Belgium.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, you're ahead of me.
Okay. All right. That's well, I know like Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's a national treasure as far as I can tell.
Right.
But
I did convince them to play the baseball game for a couple hours one night, which I'm the lone person in a pub, sports bar in Brussels watching the Blue Jays.
yeah, so for those who aren't are following Canadian and American baseball, there's the playoffs and the Canadian baseball team, the Blue Jays, are in the playoffs, at least the second round, I guess. And this is the first time in like 30 years we've pretty much made it that far. So, lots of baseball fever here right now. So they won the last couple games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. They've tied it up 2-2. It's now best of three. Game five is tonight at 8 o'clock. Blue Jays versus Seattle Mariners. And
Yeah,
we got
I,
Gossman back on the mound. So it's going to be a great, it's going to be great.
How
I,
many
I,
teams actually left? Because I know like Expos moved from the Montreal, right, to US. Like
Oh, yeah.
that
How
was
many teams
30.
left in Canada?
that was a
Just
long
one.
time ago, yes.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I was a kid, that was my team. Actually, if we're trying to talk baseball, we need to bring Nick. Nick's our local, Blue Jays expert. What do we need to know about this baseball series? I'm like the
Well,
worst guy to ask about
It's
sports in
it's the
general.
early. It's actually the early start tonight, so it's 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
It's six oh
oh,
eight tonight. So I wanted to just
Ah,
point that part out. But
yeah.
yeah, they're coming back. They're roaring back. The last game in Seattle of the 3 game set, and then comes back to Toronto for 2 games. So yeah, this is as big as it gets if you're a baseball fan in Canada.
and Doug's
Uh,
actually got the shirt on. Way to go, Doug.
Mhm.
Heck yeah. Go Toronto.
Yeah, there you go. And Doug, are you in Toronto or are you somewhere down south?
Monterrey, Mexico. Yeah, so
Uh,
down to Monterrey, Mexico. Yeah.
Doug's my favorite snowbird. He goes to the deep south. All right.
Three hours,
Well,
yeah, 3 hours from the Texas borders. So it's safe down here. Don't listen to the news. I walk the dog and everything outside and no one bothers me. So it's all good.
well, my wife bought me for my birthday a vacation to Mexico, which I might have bought myself, but we don't talk about that. So yeah, I'll be where is it? Cancun, south of Cancun, whatever the Rhine Mayan Riviera in about a month. So
Very nice.
that'll be exciting. Maybe we should meet up.
That'd be cool. Yeah, let me know the dates, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got lots to cover today, and lots of new and interesting tools. And for those who are following the various things, the Claude Flow project just keeps on keeping on. Like every time I look at that, it's blown up more and more. We're just about going to pass 200,000 downloads of that thing. It's just when I thought it's like died out, it takes on a new and exciting chapter in something I've rolled out. Let me share my screen here quick, just quickly. Before I do, Rob, am I missing anything? Is there any announcements we should be making? Any important updates that I probably
Sure,
blasted over here?
There's a couple. New website is coming. If we get a chance, you want to do a preview later on, that'd be cool. The Paris is having their big event October 31st, the second meetup. Vincent, I'm looking forward to hearing about that. We want to spread the word as much as possible about that event that's coming up. Tokyo, that first event in Tokyo is gathering a lot of support from partners. 42, of course, the university, the global university, will be hosting it, just like at Paris as well. Will be at the head office of 42. So, and Tokyo has, we've got representatives from the government, from the major universities in Tokyo, and we've got some people there that are able to assist, but we're still looking for somebody to take leadership and represent as the ambassador in Tokyo. So I'd like to officially, on behalf of the entire community, put out word that if you know someone in the space who is active in AI and based in Tokyo, there is a tremendous opportunity to play a leadership role there. So please let us know, pass on any referrals or recommendations that you might have.
And that event is happening, you said, the beginning of December?
It's likely going to happen sooner than that, likely early to mid-November, and then a subsequent event in December to try and match it up with Ken's trip there as well. But there's a lot of enthusiasm to get it before December, the first one.
All right. Well, if you know anyone or a friend of a friend of a friend that is in Tokyo or knows someone in Tokyo, let us that's interested in taking a leadership role in the emerging agentics world there, we can definitely have a conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we got guests. We got Dragan, and he's got a QE system for assessing agentic engineering, and Jamie and Rajan from Launchpad.ai to unpack and get some conversations about what kind of agentic tools they can build into their platform. So
perfect. Okay,
Yep.
let's get to it then. I'm gonna give you guys a little sneak peek at the new website that everyone's been pushing us to get our act together. We've been working on, hopefully maybe next week if we can get a few of the last things worked out. An ambassador page I think we're missing, but all right. So first of all, gotta get this. I'm gonna figure out exactly what to do Cloudflow, but yet another amazing week. We're at 20 almost 30,000 downloads this week, which is pretty spectacular. So I added some new features that you guys might be interested in. And one in particular that's working really well is my reasoning. Well, I guess, is it my reasoning bank or is it the Google reasoning bank? But Google came out with a new white paper last week that looked at sort of the idea of persistence and sort of self-learning and self-optimization of these systems. And I've integrated that into Cloudflow and the 1.513 integration of agentic flow. But essentially, what that's doing is giving you the ability to store interconnected relationships and memory. So what that's essentially doing is allowing the system to sort of learn and optimize as it runs, which gives it a really kind of unique ability to improve as it does the building of applications. So in a simple sense, if you've ever noticed that sometimes it'll do the wrong thing or it'll do an error or other sort of various problems that occur, this gives it a sort of point-based system that allows it to sort of learn and optimize what it needs to know and then gets better. So it makes the request to the memory first rather than the LLM, which essentially makes it cheaper and in my early testing, it made a sort of massive difference. I pushed this out earlier this week. Worth taking a look at. And a lot of these things that I'm building and integrating now, I'm doing through secondary packages. So if you want to skip all the stuff, you can go right to the agentic flow system, which allows you to deploy these as kind of autonomous agents that sit independently of Claude Code. So this is sort of the underpinnings of a lot of what you're seeing. So this has got, actually, this is doing well as well. This has got almost 14,000 downloads this week as well. So you can do the agent booster. This allows for local editing of files. We've got the reasoning bank. Again, it provides a mechanism for self-learning, and we've got a whole variety of different components. The other thing I've added is this QUIC transport. It's kind of crazy technical, and for those who tuned into the Vibecast yesterday, I sort of went into details of what that is. But in simple terms, when you look at a website, you see here I've got HTTPS. the internet is made up of multiple like protocols. Like one might be FTP, or if you're doing web service or WebSockets, it might be WS. What this does is allows you to use a UDP protocol, and essentially is a kind of foundational element that sits underneath the sort of web itself and is a networking related component, which provides ultra low latency communication. So basically, I'm infusing the different parts of the sort of neural structure of the swarms, reasoning, logic, like orchestration, economics, and other factors into multiple streams that are able to operate concurrently to one another, where a web-based approach is kind of sequential, right? You make a request to a website, and if something doesn't load or you lose your internet connection because you're cruising down the road, it acts as a kind of block. This avoids that. So this says if I'm blocked or something's lost, it can continue and there's no handshake required. So it's instantaneous. So it's faster, it's cheaper, and it infuses this idea of intelligence directly in the networking of the internet itself, which is pretty crazy. And this is also a lot of the stuff I'm actually building over the last couple of weeks have all been related to various Google projects. Google's on a roll. So I'm just grabbing these interesting new tech that comes out of Google and basically just figuring out how I can sort of use it in the stuff that I'm building. So if you're into this sort of stuff, take a look at that. Lastly, in this case, I'm also working on, I call everything agentic because I'm lazy, but the last thing is payments. Agentic payments is, and I just added the new Visa system to it. So now I've got everything. So now we've got the ability to have the AP2, which is Google. We got the ACP, which is Stripe and OpenAI. And now we have the Visa Trusted Agent Protocol, which just came out, I think, on Tuesday. So this is the payment system to kind of rule them all. So if you're looking at doing autonomous payments or ad bidding or anything that involves any kind of monetary value, this provides a really nice way to do that. See, everything I put out just takes off recently. This has got 10, almost 11,000 downloads this week. Not bad for the first week. So yeah, it's once you're popular in one thing, I guess it's easy to become popular in others. So this is doing well. So that's kind of exciting. I'm going to pause and I'm going to show you the new website. And I know a bunch of people were complaining, and I apologize. I've got like ADHD, so I'm off in all these different directions. But thank you to Rob and Nick and Matt and others who have been helping with this as well. So we've been building a new version. It's lighter, it's faster, it's highly inspired by our friends in London who did an amazing job, which actually I'm going to show you what they did there just because they did do an amazing job on their website, london.agentics.org. Yeah, and if you're in the UK and haven't signed up, they create this nice, beautiful landing page. So you can tell I was heavily inspired by the work they're doing there. This is the crew. I think a bunch of them are on the call today. So thanks for all the hard work you guys have been doing. And so with a heavy dose of their influence, we're like, let's do up the new version of our site. So I put my own spin on it because I like having these sort of console styles. So you can have we've got our abouts and our impact pages. If you've ever attended one of our live events, this idea of what is agentic AI, and we always have to explain the difference between vibe coding and agentic engineering. And again, just to be clear, I'm not picking on vibe coders. I actually vibe code. I do a vibecast for God's sake. So I love vibe coding. It's a great way to learn and discover and try new things. But agentic engineering is a more structured sort of strategy. So we explain that a little bit. We get the different projects. We can go to our about page. I'm using this kind of and console style everywhere. I don't know. Maybe I went a little overboard with that here, but we've also got a built-in MCP. As you click on the console, let's click help. And is it not working? Oh, there we go. It works. So this is an MCP server. I've got a client-side MCP implementation. And if you ever look at any of my sites, if you're curious, you should always take a look at the console. Everything I build has console-related activities, so you can actually interact with the site both from the MCP point of view, from the console point of view, browser and web, as well as there's a robots.txt that I'm using. I guess now everyone's using agents.md, but I'm old school. I stuck with the robot.txt, so you can see if you want to interact with us programmatically, you can see all our endpoints. So if we go here, we can basically you can point your agent at our site, and we kind of practice what we preach a little bit here. And this is what what the MCP manifest might look like. So again, all the various things that we're doing are packed into this. Let's go back to the site for a sec. I'm meandering into other areas. We have a new community page. This is going to be an open call to action. We're going to include a member page, and I don't know if that's quite ready. What was the link on that? Brett, was that members or something? Membership possibly? I don't remember what the URL was. Let's see if membership works. Nope. Members maybe. I don't know. Rob, do you remember what the members page was? Anyway, there's a members page. I just can't remember what I called it. Nothing obvious apparently. All right, so we're gonna go back to that for a sec. So we have a leadership page. It'll look similar to this, but basically anyone that's part of our community, and this is part of the community either by just joining our LinkedIn group and putting yourself as a member in our kind of organization, or people who are volunteering or chairing different activities. We're going to have a little section here, and you'll be able to have a little sort of bio page and maybe some SEO juice that comes along with including that. There is a page dedicated to everybody else. I just don't remember what the heck I called it, so we'll have to come back to that later. Maybe it's a community page. We will have the updated our updated events coming up, and events that we've done previously. You can see I've got my nerdy sort of console style going on here. And by the way, consoles are all the rage, so I don't think it's that bad, even though people like to pick on me about that. Partners. So if you're interested in partnering with us, we'll have more details here and forums and all that kind of stuff. But you get the general idea. It's more like it gives more data. It's easier to read. It's going to be a better version. We're hoping to get this out next week. And if anyone's interested in helping us, we do a weekly website call. I think it's 12 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, Brad sort of heads that up. So if you're interested in helping out, we could definitely use your help. Some bug testing kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's quick and dirty this week, but lots going on, lots of tools, lots of growth. MCP still are hot. CLIs. I think Klein just came out with a CLI. So if you're interested in CLIs, you might want to take a look at that. That came out yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a new model from Anthropic that just came out, which is looking pretty good and fast and cheap. So I haven't got a chance to really play with that too much, but it's definitely worth.
Is that the
Haiku?
4.1 Haiku?
Yeah, 4.1 Haiku. And so I've been playing with a little bit on like non-mission critical and using the reasoning bank components I've been telling you about. Now that I can train these systems to be smarter and more capable, the sort of less capable models work better. So I've been looking at sort of kind of balancing the better models with the cheaper models. And I also just added the Quen, don't forget the number, model to the agentic flow system last night. So someone was complaining that the Quen model wasn't working quite right. So that should be working good for anyone that uses Quen. Yeah, nice and cheap. And the Quen model, by the way, is like 99% cheaper than the comparable Claude 4.5 Sonnet. So way, way cheaper.
Wow.
Guy, you got a question about Quick? I'm not sure I'm familiar with Nebula. What exactly is Nebula? I like the sounds of it.
It is it's what Slack uses for its overlay network, and I just did a port to Rust for it that I haven't published yet, but basically it uses, what is it called? It uses UDP protocol, and it has something called the lighthouse that is only used to get the two nodes to talk together. And then it sends the data over and through firewalls, etc. So it uses techniques like WebRTC uses to do that. It's really cool, and that's what Slack is built on.
Does it use
it's kind of
WireGuard?
like your, huh?
Does it use WireGuard?
It doesn't use WireGuard. It uses, there's a couple really cool protocols it uses, but yeah, it's designed to be a secure overlay network, and it sounds like Quick is kind of doing that. They're doing a UDP thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick Yeah, Quick is very old Google protocol. That's what drives the YouTube. But I put in the chat, when you playing with UDP protocols, like they work well, like between wired like large data centers. But if you try to talk like to mobile clients or to some faraway clients who busy like underpowered servers, the performance degrades much faster, like than TCP.
Yeah,
Because
and
it just drop
I'm
the packets, because that's a big difference. If TCP would always try to get the packet through, and the UDP will just drop them if they cannot get through. Like, and
well, the quick has the retry capability that
it
UDP
does, yeah. But
inherently does. So you don't have the packet loss. But for those who are interested, I'm not looking at edge-based apps. This is
yeah,
more like connecting like sandboxes that are in the cloud, which are
yeah,
generally hosted in major providers. So I don't suffer from that problem. If you're looking at doing a federated edge-based approach, you're going to use different tech for
yeah.
sure.
You also need to be, even if you're North America, if you talk like East Coast to West Coast, you will see degradation. So it's like really good for like regional things. Like, so you can talk to like from Toronto to like Boston. That would be no.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of made for like multi-cloud swarms is the
Mhm.
idea. And for my use case, and it's an optional component, but for my use
Yeah.
case, it works really well. The other thing that I'm going to be probably next week's demo, but I'm going to have I built a custom vector system using some of the concepts of the reasoning bank and a few other components, self-learning, and I'm going to make it a standalone vector, super small, can run completely in memory or local. I can have the it's basically a kind of like it's kind of like SQLite for vector. I actually use SQLite and sort of repurposed it. So that'll be a nice little project. And so if you're looking to do like highly customizable local vectors that can learn and adapt, that'll be a project. Maybe I'll release it this weekend. I got to do a bit more testing.
Roof, some idea for you. I think you kind of like reading, like sometimes I read your mind. So if you go in with UDP protocol, one cool thing they can do, they can broadcast. So you can have a bunch of agents that listen on the port, and you can just talk, and whoever is not busy, they can pick it up and work on it. Like, so if you go in UDP like rabbit hole, that might be a good thing
It's
for you.
you're talking about the handshake, and the
No,
handshake.
there's no handshake. If you go like beyond quick, like you can just everybody listens on the same port. You can just broadcast, and whoever's not busy, they will get the message and will do something.
The,
And
the
Nice.
multicast routing and stuff is questionable over the internet, but this uses directed UDP
yeah,
sessions, which don't have all
yeah,
the
I know, right.
handshake crap that
I mean,
UDP
yeah,
has,
for
Well, no,
broadcast
the
support,
or
quick.
you have to
TCP.
be on the same
Yeah,
subnet, but then that's one thing. Like, it's a cheap way to like communicate between like multiple agents.
yeah. There's definitely a lot of cool things you can do. Just some call it an overlay. I think of it more as an underlay. It sort of underpins the system more than it sort of routes the system. So, but the cool part of these systems are the ability for it to sort of separate the various streams, right? And the most interesting streams are going to be the sort of the ability to sort of interact with it, like just like a human back and forth, ask a question, but also sort of adapting and modifying the thinking processes that happens as a secondary stream. So you're able to sort of separate those and work on it. And when you're working on different sort of applications where a continual stream of information becomes important, you can kind of work on that independently, like a stock trading app or something. That's kind of why I'm trying to separate these things a little bit. And there's a bunch of different approaches. I'm sure next week there'll be some other crazy thing that we implement. Yeah, and yeah, to someone's point, there is no handshake in UDP or quick. So that means it's instantaneous. Where in on a website, the handshake could take sometimes several seconds, depending on how crappy a server you have. So yeah, it's definitely some interesting tech there. All right, I don't want to take too much time here. So Rob, who do we have up first?
All right. Well, I think we've got Ranjan Batra. Hello, Ranjan. How are you?
Hi, Rob. I'm
From
doing good. How about
launchpal.ai.
you? Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you.
Mhm.
Amy too, Rob. I'm here as well.
Oh, there's Jamie. Yes. Hi, Jamie.
Yeah. So thanks very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to have a chat, and Ranjan and I work on a number of projects. One is LaunchPal. He's my CTO for LaunchPal, and then we have a little consulting group called Absolute, and then we also are reselling global private network compute, which is another little offshoot for cheap compute. But we're here to talk about LaunchPal and get your feedback. We'd love to give you a bit of an overview if I can share my screen. Let me see here. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So essentially, I've owned a couple of digital marketing firms. When AI came on the scene, I started playing around with it and trying to understand how it can impact all kinds of businesses, but specifically marketing. So we have launched a product called LaunchPal. It's revolutionizing the landscape in two ways. One, by automating all the processes, specifically around ideation, content generation, analysis, copywriting, art direction, so on. And two, which is where we're moving more so, is into the agentic helper space to assist with all your marketing knowledge and needs, or essentially helping your efficiency, improving your results, and saving lots of money. So currently in market, we've got a platform that generates all your social media ideation. It creates your social post, all your copy, image generation, does AI scheduling, social platform integration, brand analysis, strategy development, so on and so forth. Digital asset manager. I'll play a little overview for you here while I'm going through that. So it's got some AI, like an AI little upfront agent. You can ask any questions too. You can simply create posts and give you some ideas on what you should talk about based on your brand analysis. You generate the posts that you're interested in. You then pick the platform you want to put them on. You generate an image. You easily share it. Schedule it for whatever day you want. It also reserves all your content for future analysis. The AI will tell you when it thinks you should be in market and what days and what times. And then here's some specific ideas for those days and times. So it acts like a little social media agency for you. And it's got the start of agents built into it. It's got a viral content generator. You give it an idea what you want to talk about. It tells you what's most likely to be viral. It's got a company research agent that will essentially tell you what your competitors are doing in market. And it's got an SEO agent. And then it's got a general AI interface that you can ask any questions to. That said, let me get out of here. Sorry. Where are we? That said, where we're going is that's where we are. Where we're going is more into what I'm calling LaunchPal Larry. LaunchPal Larry essentially is your full-time assistant. It's expertly trained on multiple digital marketing practices. It's accessible via multiple platforms, either phone, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and so on. It's kind of like Bordy.ai, but more for marketing. And it's essentially replaces the 20-person agency that I used to run with onboard assistants. Ranjan, why don't you just give a bit of an overview on the tech stack that we currently have and where we're
For
headed?
sure. Yeah, so currently Launchpad is built on this tech stack where we are using Next.js, deploying it on Vercel and using Supabase for all of our database operations. And alongside, we are using Gemini and ChatGPT to create the content and also to create the image or any operations related to image generation. Next slide. Yeah, but where the things are getting interesting is our roadmap. This is where we want to take this platform to, and this is the state which we want to attain in next few months, 2 or 3 months, hopefully. So basically, we want to convert the right now. I feel like our application is more LLM based application and somewhat RAG application, but we want to make this a completely agentic application where you can come and agents can take over and do all of your marketing requirements. And we want to integrate more of image generation AI tools like Midjourney, Dali, and Nano Banana. And also we are going into a direction where we want to integrate the text to video or some video generation on our platform through these AI tools like Hagen or not Hagen, but Google Veo and OpenAI Sora. Alongside, we want to make it like a complete agentic application. So we need to integrate some orchestration layer, make it more hyper personalized to your brand. And yeah, that's what our future vision is. And hopefully we will use this agentic cloud flow to attain most of these actions.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we've been watching what you guys have been up to from the sidelines a little bit, and I'm very impressed with how fast not only the foundation has grown, but the tools and the swarms and all the different tools that you're leveraging, and obviously we're looking for some help and assistance in with our objective in getting, you know, the best marketer in the world essentially created into this platform.
And I saw 902 area code, so you're in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, Rube, we've chatted because you were at CCL when I was running Extreme with a couple of guys, and yeah, yeah, I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and we'd love to rep the Agentics Foundation. We've got a growing community here, and most of them still haven't heard about you. I keep talking about the foundation and trying to recruit new people. So, you know, we'd love to rep you guys out on the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving the demo. And for those who don't know, my parents live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, specifically Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, which I affectionately call the dark side. But yeah, so long time ago, I worked as a graphic designer at an ad agency, and Jamie was our biggest competitor in town. It was so he had the other really large digital agency whatnot when back in the old days of the 1990s, right?
Yeah, see, I'd rather work with you, Rube, than, you know, compete, you know.
Yeah, it's great. I love what you're doing. By the way, we've had lots of discussions as sort of about this idea of agentic marketing.
Yep.
And one of the things I think you're leaving on the table a little bit is, and you briefly mentioned it, was this idea of sort of intelligence and learning. And you'll notice that I've been pushing this idea of reasoning banks, and it's perfect for what you're doing. As your users use the system is learning what works and what doesn't. So when you're giving like a competence score or saying, here's how you can, copy my or improve upon maybe my competitors' marketing campaigns, the system's then capable of iteratively learning what works and what doesn't, either based on its own marketing, ad buys and whatnot. But more importantly, it can actually monitor what your competitors are doing and sort of model that in real time. And then when you get to a point where you're asking the system, what should I do and how should I do it? It's not just asking the LLM, which is going to give you some kind of response. It's going to ground it with real analysis. And now the key in terms of the memory bank approach to doing this type of agentic marketing is I'm not attempting to retrain the language model. That doesn't really work particularly well because it's kind of pattern matching. The benefit to doing vectorized approach, it's fast and it's interconnected. So not only are you creating these kind of vector representations of what your competitors are doing in terms of marketing style, demographic, ad buy, ROI, ROAS, return on ad spend. It's then creating a kind of interconnected relationship of those elements as part of the synthesis.
Yeah.
And it's super fast. Like I think I did 10,000 connected records in under 100 milliseconds.
That's amazing. So when we started this platform, that was the pure intention. What I was calling it the iterative engine. So the more posts you put up, the better your results got, because the AI was trained on what worked and what didn't work. But it didn't have the same level of reasoning, which with what you're currently talking about. It was essentially training the AI to go through the analysis and figure out what the engagement looked like on each post, and then training it on producing content that's most likely to succeed based on past content. But the reasoning piece that you're talking about is extremely interesting, and where we need to go.
Slap an ad buyer on top of all that and hyper target the demographics, and you'd kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. We don't like we built this, and even if if you think about it, it's great because there's opportunities for people who are a little more laggard to use a more traditional integration. But again, the longer term strategy is you pick up the phone, you call Larry and say, hey, Larry, I'm looking for you to give me an overview on programmatic advertising, and I want 4 different posts for next week, and I want it to look like this, and then they're in your inbox, and you approve them, and you're off to your next meeting, and that's where we want to go with it.
Okay, looks and let me open up to the audience. Anybody have any questions or comments? This is your chance. But the other thing I briefly showed was the idea of agentic payments. And in in the agentic payments area, commerce, whatever you want to call it, is likely going to be the biggest sort of intersection for marketing and over the next couple of years. And the part that's probably really interesting for these sort of agentic marketing tools is going to be in the idea of an active manifest, right? It's defining the sort of structure of how, where, and why you're either buying or executing these marketing campaigns, and having a kind of autonomous manager of sorts for doing that. So I've authorized that I can spend $1,000 a day, and that could be the most broad one, and then that can then be allocated across different ad buys with dynamic creation of ads and text and A/B testing and all the things that were likely done by a digital agency a year ago are now being done by a bunch of agents working in parallel.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, I want to be able to, like I said, if I had 20 staff and some of them were good at programmatic, some were good at social, some were good with creative, and so we can replicate all that.
Yeah.
I liked your idea last week of creating dynamic landing pages based on market intelligence of the person you're trying to market to. So in the instance they go to the page, it's creating it on the fly. That would be super awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
And back to these different protocols, and everyone's like, why are you so obsessed with speed? That's exactly the reason, right? If I can do a comparison of 10,000 different interconnected sort of content elements, and I can do that in under 100 milliseconds, that means I'm not inducing any latency and able to display this kind of dynamically generated page. Nobody wants to wait 5 seconds or 10 seconds for a page to load. So I need to do that faster than it takes you to actually even think or click kind of thing, right? And if once you can do that, then you can serve up these hyper targeted versions of these sites. And so, if you have an algorithm that's monitoring the weather, and you're selling, insurance software or something, to claims or whatever, you can go and you can hyper target that instantaneously, and you can beat your competition because you literally have the ads in front of them before they even knew that they needed your service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a exciting space. It's obviously a crowded space, but it's an exciting space and lots of opportunities to add value. We're just looking to bring on the right partners to help us get there from an agentic component and really lead in that area.
It's the one thing I'll tell you guys about. Everyone's like, oh, there's a billion marketing companies.
Yeah.
Yes, but what's interesting about the agentic sort of sector we play in, it's nascent. And a lot of the times we're like, oh, we've been doing swarms for a year. No one's heard of them, right?
Yeah.
And we sometimes forget how far ahead of the curve we are versus everybody else. And that's because we're kind of drinking from the fountain here already. But like when you look at what the opportunities for Jamie and applying agentics to the marketing segment, there's really a handful of companies in the world out of tens of thousands of little marketing SaaS companies. They're all either doing wrappers of some little chat GPT style chatbot that nobody wants, but they're not doing something that's uniquely different. And I think that's where, companies like Jamie's really have the opportunity. You can find that thing that only Agentix allows you to do, and do it quickly and more efficiently than somebody else.
Exactly.
And that's launchpal.ai, right, Jamie?
That's correct. Yeah, Launchpal, and not Launchpad. We get that a lot. It's Launchpal, like your buddy.
Launchpal, right?
Yep.
And it's Leisure Suit Larry, like the game. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah, I think Guy brought that up, but I'm anyone knows I was a Sierra Online beta tester when I was 12. So they didn't let me test Leisure Suit Larry because apparently it was an adult game, so I was stuck with Space Quest.
That's funny.
Well, that's a perfect segue, guys, to why don't I'll give a little rundown on the DevOps conference, and then we'll pick up with Dragon. Should I? Let me just
go for it. Thanks, Jamie, and
yeah,
thanks, guys.
very much. Appreciate your time and your feedback.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right. Can you all see that?
Looks good.
DevOps Rise of the Agents. You can tell why it caught my attention. So for those of you that may not know, DevOps has been a long-running tech conference over 20 years in Europe, and it's a Java programming community conference, which is fascinating because, as you know, Java is dominant in enterprise. So they reached out to me about a year ago to speak at this one, the Rise of the Agents. DevOps was in Antwerp. And let me just get here to the next screen. I love what they were choosing. It's very familiar, Roof. The imagery and the styling, right? Just fascinating. There's the DevOps conference. The amazing thing about DevOps, what I loved about the structure of the events, is they run up to 8 concurrent talks from 20 minutes to 3 hours at the same time all day, all week. So there's the typical kind of trade show and booths setup downstairs. And so there's a few vendors that are there, maybe 25, 35 vendors that set up Google, that kind of thing. But the whole conference is all deep dive on a myriad of different topics. So it's a really neat immersive learning experience. And this is Stefan Jensen, the guy who's founded it and organized and run these for years. And it was great. So in his opening keynote, he's talking about a developer renaissance, right? Coding agents and the shift from manual coding to AI augmented programmers. And just you're talking about the delta between the agentic processes that we're constantly exploring here and the rest of the world. And this entire week was a really good indicator of what that adoption process looks like. You can see here, right in the keynote, contextual code intelligence, rapid experimentation, right? The democratization of expertise as we're able to invoke and create agentic swarms to bring in domain knowledge specialists where we may not necessarily have access to them. And lo and behold, spec-driven development, right? Spark, which was what, about a year and a half ago, Roof?
The first version was I think February 2023. So
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Steering agents with actual specifications. So, and that was a huge theme. So across the entire week, I think there was at least 12 different talks that were just focused on spec-driven development and setting up the planning ahead of the actual AI-assisted code writing. So that's a really good indicator of where the Java community is. There's a lot of sensitivity in the Java community, interestingly, because they see a huge amount of innovation happening in Python and Rust, right? But there's also this like a sense that Java is where a lot of the actual applied innovations are going to end up because they sit so squarely in the enterprise environment. So there was a lot of really interesting conversations around that. This fellow, Rod Johnson, his team were the ones that brought out String AI, and they've got this new platform. I haven't had a chance to explore it too much yet, in Babel. And that is it's built on top of String AI in the Java environment, specifically for managing agentic frameworks and development in Java. So this is something I've got to explore over the course of time. My talk was the awareness layer, and the awareness layer is specifically outward-facing agents, and it's a perfect example with Launchpal.ai, and the research and the memory bank that you're talking about, Roof. Those are all compiling external information sources in order to enable organizations to become more competitive. And over the course of the next period of time, call it a year or two, when you can see when those tools become more prevalent, you can see the kind of hyper competitiveness from engaged firms that have developed out a robust set of outward-facing agents that are gathering real-time information and ingesting them into actionable hypotheses or experimentation. I'm not going to show the whole talk, just a couple slides, but I present this as a capacity shock, because if you've got the ability to go out and to gather all this information and bring it back and iterate so quickly, as you were saying, for example, landing pages, real, on time, hyper targeted, or a variety of a myriad of variations in order to A/B test. Currently, inside an organization, there's going to be all these other processes that the rest of the organization has to go through in order to okay these innovative new feature sets. Like if you can create 8 new features and experiment with them over the course of 2 days, who's updating the sales team in terms of talking points and localization and bringing those things to different markets? So the implication of fast engineering and where that goes, how that impacts the rest of an organization is what the awareness layer was all about. So DevOps, highly recommended from my perspective in terms of an environment, a learning environment, and interesting to see how it's going to unfold or evolve in the Java community as far as all these tools and innovations. So that was DevOps.
Yeah, it sounds like a great conference. You had some good beer?
And I had Belgian beer in this beautiful little square sitting 50 feet across from a 1,000-year-old cathedral in Antwerp.
In the Beer Central.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, I believe that's, yes.
Beer Central is the name of the place there in the Antwerp.
Okay,
That's
there you
looking
go.
at the
In Antwerp.
cathedral. Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And in Brussels, you should see this is how much they love their beer. The old stock exchange, this enormous, big, giant building, just huge. And now it's the beer museum. So yeah, it was beautiful.
And by the way, guys, I know I like to pick on Java, not JavaScript, but Java, but it's 25 years old. There's a million different libraries. It compile. If you ever sat and watched like Rust compile and then you do the same thing in Java, it's like almost instantaneous. I get why people use it. I'm not, I kind of envision it like Jabba the Hutt or something. Like I just have this wrong view of it. So I don't know. I've done a few projects in it. Usually when some giant corporation comes up and says, our middleware system isn't working, can you help? And I'm stuck, trying to figure out the inner workings of a 15-year-old Java system. So that might jade me towards it. But it is kind of a interesting use case for agentics for a lot of the reasons we like about Rust, at least from like a programmer's point of view, and it's easier to understand. Like it's made for idiots. Something like that. But anyway, I'm not picking on it. But it sounds like a good conference. So was it only Java or was there broader?
No, it is specifically Java, and then all of the agentic topics that are just surrounding the technology that are really language agnostic. That's all frothing with conversation and discussion and exploration. So I found it, because I'm not a Java developer by any at all, but I found it fascinating. There was tons of real interesting stuff, and they've got events all around the world, Athens, CERN, Geneva, France. They've got a ton of conferences coming up in the next year. So great format.
And for those who are looking for work, if you want to make big bucks at a big company really quickly, just be an agentic Java developer and you can work pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah.
Yeah. You might be sad, but you'll definitely be well paid. So that's all I got. Okay, I'm not going to pick on Java anymore. Well, thanks for the update, Rob. Sounds like a great trip and a great crew, and thanks for for helping sort of bring awareness to what we're doing with the Agentics Foundation as well.
Actually,
it was really neat. So we've got. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, about that. So because the Java is old, but are there like agentic COBOL developers? And I know like IBM has the model that can code in COBOL, like one of the Watson models can generate COBOL code, but is it like even a thing?
Let's do it tonight. That'll be my overnight my overnight agentic flow will be the
Yeah.
Fortran.ai.
Yeah.
Go
Fantastic.
back.
Vlad, while I got you there, a bunch of guys getting together about opening a chapter in Boston. We're going to be getting on a
Yeah.
call at
I
3 o'clock
think
this afternoon.
Oh,
make
I got a sponsor there too. Do we include my crew in that who offered the space and budget?
Oh no, yeah. Uh,
I got a client in Boston.
Sweet, great.
let's connect them.
Yeah, a
Fantastic.
consulting company, and they're willing. I've dropped the ball on that. Just so if you're watching, sorry guys, I'm just got too much going on.
I'll connect the dots ahead of the 3 o'clock call.
All right, sounds
We'll
good.
see you in there, Vlad. We'll get you access. Dragan,
Hey,
do
everybody.
we have you? How are you?
Great.
Great.
And, busy
Excellent.
using agents, yeah, to create agents. So I would say somewhere beginning of September, I presented my, first open source project, the Sentinel, a AI agentic API testing platform. What I was been working in parallel is I I today made a joke with Rob, but this could be called like a expansion pack for Cloudflow fleet of agents, because it extends and a lot of things here, or I would say everything, is inspired by what Ruv is working on. And yesterday I did like a small update again, directing Cloud Code and Cloudflow agents to look what Roof has done to the Cloudflow and agent flow and pick up some of the improvements that we can use for this agentic crew. So yesterday, new release was done with adding the learning system, the pattern bank, increasing the flakiness detection, and adding continuous improvement. Fleet has 17 agents right now that are, let's say, split into different groups depending on the part of the software development lifecycle where you would like to use them. And we have core testing agents, performance security, strategic planning, and some advanced and specialized types of agents. How that works, similar like any Cloudflow agent. In this case, npx ake init, and you will get a fleet of 17 QE related agents in your agents folder. That the one that I'm using a lot is the requirement validator, and using all the best practices from the agents created for Cloudflow. Scenarios are defined, and they are doing a lot of interesting things, and I would say they're helping me even develop even faster. Regression risk analyzer, I use often that after any change that I make in code. Maybe even we can try, I don't know what's my time. So let me see, like use regression. Ooh, what happened? He's not seeing my
The demo gods.
demo gods. Oh my God, yeah. Let's see the agents. Why?
I also
Why can
noticed
you see?
you mentioned
Yes,
use QStar or Q Learning.
yes.
How are you implementing that?
Uh,
So for those who aren't
yes,
familiar, QStar was the algorithm that OpenAI had their big breakthrough in the reinforcement learning system for, I think it was their initial reasoning model
What
was
Ilya saw.
yeah, and they basically that was like that was their big test time thing, and we were all about QStar what, about a year and a half ago, a year ago, I don't know, it was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I need to try to test it. It was implemented yesterday, so let's see how that will work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Q-learning is like ancient. It's I remember like learning about it in like 2000s. Like
yeah. It's a reinforcement algorithm that
yeah.
basically in similar conceptually to the reasoning bank stuff that we've been doing recently.
But it's easy to implement. It's just a matrix. It's more like into like rewards and the punishment structure that's important. But the actual algorithm is like trivial.
Yeah. Well, that's though the best algorithms are the simplest algorithms generally, right? It doesn't have to be the world's most complicated thing as long as it's effective and fast.
Yeah.
Found it. I was missing the QE in the beginning of the agent, so I will leave it working in the meanwhile. Yeah, different types, quality gate, deployment readiness. Yes.
You're missing, you know what, you scroll up a little bit.
Yes.
In your agent MD for a second. I just want to see the top there.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks you're just be careful in terms of context. And I've been getting a lot of pushback on the size and scale of my MCPs and the my Claudette MD in the files.
Yeah, I
So
noticed that the context can grow, sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been struggling with that, and so I'm moving towards a more optimized. But your format looks really good.
And let me see if we can take a look at what it's doing. So give me a second. Oh, no, it's too much. Yeah, it already, pulled all the changes. But yeah. Oh, yeah, I was playing also created skills today and added
Oh,
them. So let's see.
you do you leave the thinking mode on by default, or are you turning that off to save usage?
It's usually on, but yeah, I turn it off from time to time.
I generally start with it off just to save a
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
of
yeah.
it fills up the context as well quite a bit.
Okay, let's see if the demo gods will give us results. Any questions? Anybody, want to see maybe some of the, yeah. Also, I have a couple of commands also initiated for
Are you
analysis. Yes,
are you using hooks?
yes. I first used Cloud Flow in the
Hmm.
beginning. Then with one of the releases, I think 104 or something like that, I instructed the agents to develop my own version of the hooks. So now, like AKA, I think I have native hooks somewhere. I need to check in which
I love it.
agents. Yeah.
I,
So
I love seeing sort of these derivatives of sort of I can see where the lineage is, right? And people send me these almost every day now, and it's just amazing to see the sort of creativity and the things people are building.
yeah,
It's
while this one is working, I would like also to share one more thing that I started working, because this merging classical QA and QE into agentic is something that's, it only it now is the time to it gets the traction, because like QA skills are becoming even more relevant in today's time, because critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, risk analysis, that big picture, and really analyzing, if the problem that we are solving is the proper problem that we are solving. I'm doing like initiative trying to create a learning community around practices related to quality assurance, quality engineering, but from the using the agentic engineering principles that the foundation is putting up.
Yeah.
So, I'm starting like with writing some of the articles, but what I'm planning, maybe even going a step further, that's a project that I started working, is like create a gamified platform for QA, QEs to learn about how they create agents and how they can train them, and they can test them in sandboxes. So something also inspired by the Flow Nexus road that you did.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
I love
Dragan,
it.
I have
yes,
two questions for you actually. So
yes.
first, do you output like some sort of numeric score? Because actually I see like last few weeks now there are like metrics coming up because I'm looking at like basically tweaking the agentic workflow systems and just want to compare like one with another. Like, so if you can output a number on the quality, that would be great, like a set of numbers.
I would say that all the reports that are produced by the agents, let me see if I can find.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find really the QA ones. Not this one. Just give me a second to find. I think maybe this one should be. They have coverage, for instance. Let's see. So there is always like some.
No, this is cover. I mean, coverage is important.
No,
but
not the coverage. So let me see. There are quality gates. So
yeah, I'm just looking for the number, because if you if you have like two agentic system and you tweaked something in one, right? And then how can you tell using your system like output of the one system is better than another? Like, so if you can. Right? Because that way you can create a feedback loop and then you can work. Because one thing is, I mean, this is super important, and the reason most of projects die is they become impossible, and it's a quality metric. They become impossible to change. Like, so if you have like hundreds of thousand lines of code and you change one and your whole system crashes down. So I'm just looking for the metrics to basically have the quality like that would predict like how easy, like how breakable that project is, basically.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to think on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk. Yeah, there is a old tool. It's called SonarQube. It outputs.
Yeah, those are tools that are looking at coverage on a unit level, yeah, and the code complexity, right? And
No,
on
it's
that
a
level.
complexity. There is stuff like there is cohesion. So if the like so there is code duplication, one of the metrics. There is cohesion. It's basically the things that talk to each other. They should be in the same like isolated module, like so you don't have basically the whole web of like across the things, like so the communication should be clustered, and whatever the outside interfaces, they should be like small in number and code, right? So that's
so this is like my regression.
Oh, so you do have a risk level, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it is doing based on different. If this something that you were thinking about.
That's exactly, yeah. And
which changes, how many lines deleted, files modified, and what's the stabilization. Right. So this is even like a dashboard view created by the agent.
Yeah, I was looking more if you get a number or like a vector, you can just give it to like
chief, so I have a number
that can basically tell like which ones are good and which not. Like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's so I see like because I found similar to yesterday. I need to dig it up where it is. It's in my list of things to.
This is everything I will push. This is new work I'm working on the branch, but all the documents and everything goes open. The code is open source. You can take a look at Agentic QE.
Share that link in the.
I will share the link. Yeah.
And just a reminder for everyone watching, the stars are free for us. So if you can star his repo, it definitely helps the cause here.
Yeah.
So whenever you see one of our little projects, and give it a star.
And one more thing, we already have like 50 people, applied for the Novi Sad Agentic meeting.
Nice.
And we still have like 11 days to promote it. So we are not done there.
Awesome. I love what you're doing, and it looks amazing. And I can't wait to try it. It's pretty cool stuff. This is the after show, if you will. And if anyone is interested, has anything to show, has something they want to say, rant, whatever, this is your moment. This is the open mic portion. So feel free to pipe in. Otherwise, we're just gonna chit chat like we always do. This is happy to sort of follow where the rabbit hole leads here. Any interesting, exciting things that anyone's seen that they want to share? There's probably some new tech somewhere that has popped up this week. Any projects you saw, Rob, on your travels?
Oh, I did notice Alex's posts. Alex DeBold you just like last week, I think I was actually in Europe when it came out. You hit a milestone, eh?
Yes.
Right. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, no, the I'm actually troubleshooting a permissions issue, but yeah, the design there are so my goal is to build a full vertical stack for basically manufacturing and retail. And literally just I was late to this call today because I was talking with a eyewear brand called Shady Rays. So we're figuring out how to automate the whole process for um the design part of the process. So if you go, it's actually here on, I can share my screen. It's on design.vari.ai. So this is kind of like the first step of what we're doing for the brands. And it's kind of neat because right now we have a team of people who are doing kind of 2D design, CAD to AutoCAD to Blender to full-on renders for people. So this was a giant pain in the you know what, because it literally does everything, including the ability to do like real-time comments, tagging, messaging, like this whole process. And I'm doing all of this work to basically map a human-based process with the intent of basically automating it. Because right now, everything is designed manually and slowly, right? Whether it's so we all know about tariffs, tariffs happening in China, tariffs causing costs for people and identifying stuff. So quite literally, this allows teams to collaborate in real time and actually bypass the whole process. So once you sign off on an idea, on a product, you can quite literally, as Jamie, you were talking about your marketing process, one of the steps of this is to actually allow them to have brand and voice consistency and the ability to go in and say, hey, now that I've got a high quality 3D render of my asset, now I'm just gonna output everything that I need. So we can talk more later about this. And I just showed this. One of the guys are really killing it. Um, my design team actually did this using AI and a CAD file. So basically, this Bugatti, everybody knows the eyewear brand. These frames did not exist in the real world. My team actually created a CAD file, exported it in a Blender, and actually built this whole asset that was launched globally for Bugatti in Paris 2 weeks ago. So
Spectacular.
the goal right now, like a lot of this process is manual. The point behind this is to kind of start automating the process, bringing together individual components around kind of product design and manufacturing, so that literally from like concept and design, like the desktop, to like here's an asset for a brand. There's a lot of manual process in place, but this proves that we're getting there, right? You can build the agentic processes, but people still need to be able to use it.
Nice. Looking good. You're just on a roll here, killing it. Yeah, looks all, and you're using just agentic systems and building most of the stuff yourself, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, I messaged Ruve last night that we've my team has made over 9,000 frames using going from AutoCAD to 3D renders. So I'm now using all of that data as a training model on the back end. And just for shits and giggles, as you'd say, Ruve has mentioned Rust a whole bunch of times. I'm like, well, I wonder if I can build a training model. And since Ruve says it's faster, why don't I try using combining Python and Rust? And sure enough, I sent him a screenshot. It's still a confidential project that I'm working on, but like, oh my goodness, the impact was ridiculous in terms of processing and time and training. So we shall see. That's currently running on the back end. So my first goal is to monetize and launch what we did. That's step number one. Number two, in the next month, we're launching the Commerce Studio, which is a series of plugins with machine learning across everything. So if you go to this commerce.vari.ai, this is the second platform that I've been working on for, I would say, 6 months. So we've got design and then you've got distribution. So from there, stuff gets immediately pushed across here. And literally all of these tools are originally built on Vari, but basically built all the components so that you can deploy across Shopify WooCommerce Magento, and the whole system, as consumers are using products on your e-commerce website, the whole system is learning. So today, if you go into Shopify and you're going to install 6 different products, you don't have a freaking clue how they're working together. But with this agentic system, well, all of these individual endpoints, there's 12 applications in total, are all feeding the same database, learning about your customers and your products, being able to do better product recommendations on the fly.
And something to keep in mind, and a lot of people are asking in regards to machine learning and reinforcement learning, self-reinforcement, whatever. I would say in the work that I'm doing, 80%, if not more, doesn't need to be a actual model. Like, you know, I do a lot of the neural nets and whatnot, but right now, I think a lot of what I've been doing is creating these kind of micro vectors that allow me to make the request really fast and just train the hell out of that. And it requires no GPUs, there's no overhead really. And for most contextual type things, it's more than adequate. So if you're looking at doing ML related work, start with something that looks more like a reasoning bank and something that looks less like PyTorch or DSpy or something.
Yeah, my big goal here with this project is you have to connect all of the apps and the user experience in order to have the data in the first place. And that's the number one battle that I'm winning here. I'm making it really easy because in Shopify, you just install my Shopify app. You can pull in all of my child applications into there. And I've got one cohesive story because I'm connecting the user experiences with signals like checkout, right? That say, oh, these recommendations made sense, right? As opposed to a lot of the stuff that we do, which is like, how do you prove it's not hallucinating, right? And the only way I can prove it's not hallucinating is, was there a checkout? Did it achieve the outcome that the business wanted? Or else I'm just building tools for the sake of building tools.
Yeah. No, that's really, really cool stuff. Are you been exploring any of the agentic payment platforms and specs and things that all the payment companies are coming out with? Like
I'm
I
gonna
think Stripe
explode.
I think Shopify said I don't know which one they're supporting. One of the billion ones that came out in the last month.
No, only because there's only so much that can be done in a day. My first goal, I know who my customers are in terms of the first 2 pieces, design, distribution, and sales, like the kind of that full loop. I think that the payment stuff is cool, but I think it's a bit of a red herring, right? Because you're not going to displace Shopify, who makes a good chunk of their revenue off the checkouts, right? As I think it's an interesting thing that is happening because so many people don't make money off the software anymore. They make money off the GMB, like the volume flowing through the networks, right? And it's the same thing with like when Jamie's looking at building a software platform for um, ad buyers. It's like if you're a programmatic platform and you're just like a stock trading platform, it's like high frequency trading. It's like high frequency, like how more efficient are you going to be with marketer dollars? How more efficient am I going to be moving people through the funnel? Right. So I don't, for the moment, I'm not going to touch payments just because it's different group of people, different conversation, very big players in
Stick
there.
stick with what you know, be more focused. That makes sense. You know,
Yep.
I don't try to do everything for everyone. That's my specialty.
Yep.
Um, focus.
Hey, Al,
I yeah.
I have a question. Uh, the Bugatti frames have a lot of very fine detail. Do you have anything in place for where you're solving for manufacturability or cost of manufacturing? And like, you have any secret sauce there, or is that still kind of,
Secret sauce.
just okay?
So those Bugatti frames are like $2,000 and people don't care about that. But the like, and when you saw the level of detail, like the LOD of like the holes in the frame and stuff like that, that stuff, AI is not going to do that anytime soon. Um, where you're talking mass manufacturing, there is work that I literally have running on my computer right now around that kind of stuff. Basically being like your design co-pilot. Because literally the eyewear manufacturers are like, you know, it's going to cost me X number of dollars to buy a slab of plastic that they actually machine and they turn into like the front and the arms and like how much revenue are you going to make on that as you mark it up. So that is something that you can define, and that is something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So that means
Yeah.
you're far. So my question, Alex, I had a question that how close you were or we were to having the ability to do print on demand one-off frames, but it sounds like you that it's not there. It's not that close like t-shirts or print on demand.
The stuff
Like,
that's running on my computer right now. So I'm launching Design Studio. I'm launching Commerce Studio. The current tool that I'm working on right now should be able to take a AutoCAD file and actually allow you to print. So downloading an STL or whatever format it is for your 3D printer. Yep. But the cool part becomes linking all of the stuff that I'm doing. So I can do PD measurement. You're wearing glasses. I don't know if they're progressive or bifocals or just regular lenses. But on the front end, I have all of the tools now to measure your face, your pupillary distance, um, fit the whole thing on your face to be able to and then link that to, oh, great, here are the frames that you want, and here's the design format. So it's actually kind of cool. Like I would say within 6 months to a year, I would literally be able to like go through this whole process with you because I'm gonna have acetates and plastics and libraries and there's a whole bunch of things that are interconnected. The one thing that people can't do yet is 3D print lenses, right? That's the medical part, but you can frames relatively easy.
and Alex, do you know our Doug, who's currently in Mexico? You guys are both Toronto guys. You should definitely know each other. And he says he's got a sunglass line. So there you
Yep.
go.
Happy to chat. Yep. So
Well, the other part, Alex, you remember when Deion Sanders got hired at Colorado? He made within the season, he has his sunglass frames, his own branded frames. So if you can print on demand, then you can get with influencers who want, want their own frame. So
Yeah. I could go for a new pair of glasses every week as long as it didn't cost me a fortune. I think the glass is what costs is the expensive part in these glasses anyway.
Yeah. And hey, Alex, are you looking at the like a chip manufacturing tool, like the like injection moldings or like machinings or so? I mean, like not
we
the
have
3D print, but
we
if
have
you want.
relationships with 6 manufacturers in China. Two of them are
Uh-huh.
active. But really they're still
Yeah.
taking a CAD file and loading it.
Oh.
Hmm?
So they just lay it out by hand themselves, like do the G codes and stuff.
Yeah, like when I was at Silmo, like at Paris, where there's 15,000 people, like there's one whole section of people who just sell plastics. One whole section of people who are like, hey, we sell to Costco and Walmart, and we're ISO whatever certified for manufacturing. It's actually it's still a very analog process, right? So they'll get the CAD file, they'll get the 2D rendering, they'll physically cut a couple of examples and ship them back to the customer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What about your
So
revenue model, Alex? It sounded like you were talking about getting sort of capitalizing on the flow through the system, or what was, how are you positioning that?
The Commerce Studio itself is tokens. So one virtual try-on, one PD measurement, one this, one that. It's all token-based consumption. So there's a flat monthly fee. We have 40 customers right now that I'm migrating onto the new platform, and you basically have access to all of the applications. There's no barrier whatsoever. It's just based on consumption. And each individual call to the backend uses different technology, therefore different token costs. So that's the Commerce Studio side of things. So that's my big goal is to migrate that in the next migrate my existing customers in the next 30 to 60 days, and come January 1st, that goes live. And
So as
all
you
of
make
the
that more, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Well, there were
I'm
a
just
billion
wondering.
frames. Yeah, there were a billion frames made in 2025 on this planet. 20% were sold online, 80% were sold offline. So to use Roof's payment analogy, like at the end of the day, if I can earn 25 cents per frame sold on a billion frames, I'm a happy person.
yeah,
If
there's
you
some
reduce the consumption of tokens? Does that, in other words, if your code's more efficient, are you kind of penalizing your business? Is there some weird kind of dynamic as far as incentivizing the system? Just
Like
or
when,
maybe it's territory. I'm not sure if the whole token consumption model. I haven't really thought that through. If there's a weird kind of dynamics there.
no, it's just you're right. You're right. You're running a business. It has costs. Anytime Rube says use this or explore that, or the community mentions something like, how do you, do you, or when Jed was even mentioning like, you don't need to be on tier one. Like you don't need, everything doesn't have to be built the classic SaaS way on GCP with all sorts of ridiculous infrastructure, right? Like every single thing that we're talking about from Agentic's perspective, whether it's the QA QE process and you're like, hey, who's my target customer for QA QE? How much does IBM spend on QA, right? And QE, right? What is that like? How much does Deloitte make on QA QE? Right? Like those, there are very clear economic models, and you're running software in the cloud. Somebody's got to pay for it. So what is the opportunity cost or reduction or value that you're creating for that person? So I know that for designers in the design studio, I'm reducing the time to market because it no longer takes 6 to 8 weeks to get approvals on a pair of frames. Because you send your design to China, they make a sample, they ship it back. Then you have to take those frames and put them into a Lightbox and take pictures and edit them in Photoshop. That's ridiculous. This is 2025. Let's use some Magentics, right? That's the design studio. And on the commerce studio side, I know that there's a $180 billion industry. 20% of that's online, and 20% of those frames sold online get returned. So if I can reduce the return rate when there's $20 billion worth of returns, and I know people are already using virtual try-on and fitting height and different tools, but getting no insights, right? I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to show you the entire customer journey. I'm going to show you how these tools influence the customer journey, what people are trying on, and give you, as the business owner, full insight in terms of that process. So if there's $20 billion worth of returns, if I make $500 million on that $20 billion, I'm a happy customer.
500 million. Yeah. I think even a zero off that, I'm still pretty happy, but I like the way you think. For sure. No, it's cool stuff you guys are working on. I saw Dragon, you were looking at the Q learning. Check out the decision transformer model.
Will
And
do.
yeah, so the trick to a lot of these learning systems is everyone start, and to Alex's point, everyone starts with kind of the way that everyone else does it. So I need a giant GPU cluster. I'm going to pull out PyTorch. I'm going to train a model. I'm going to optimize. I'm going to attempt not to overfit it. And it's a whole convoluted process, right? That every sort of traditional AI person does right now. But the reality is you can take any of those algorithms, learning processes, reinforcement approaches, and then apply it in non-traditional ways. And in my case, using a kind of low overhead vector style store, and then basically apply in a kind of incremental step while the agents operate. So rather than brute force, I'm going to go try to figure out all the questions before the agent knows even what question to ask. I'm trying to say, what does it need to know while it's doing it so it doesn't repeat the same mistakes if it ever encounters that thing again. And then I reward it based on what works, and I deduct it if it fails. That's it.
So
And it's
just in
some
time information, when it's needed, right?
Exactly. And then if you want to train it, then you can go and run one of your agent.md files and tell it to do 1,000 or 10,000 sort of variants on that, and then run some kind of optimization benchmark against it and continue until it reaches some kind of level of coherence that makes it useful. And no GPU required at all to do that. And so anyway, that
Thanks.
sounds
For
like
tip.
a blog post or something. I've got a whole little system I'll be launching here sometime in the next few days that shows how to do that. It'll fit perfectly into what you're building and some of the other things folks are building. Specifically, what Jamie was showing with his marketing, that would be perfect for Jamie's marketing tool. And again, I build this stuff for you guys to take and run with and hopefully do really well with. And I really don't care about any kind of any kind of anything other than seeing you guys build with it. So that's exciting enough for me.
Excellent.
Right, we're almost out of time. Any final thoughts, comments? We get some events coming up. I think it's maybe next week. I know we
There's a few. Let me just take a look at the Luma real quick.
yeah.
Abu
For those,
Dhabi is October 25th. Novi Sad, Tuesday, October 28th. France, again, Paris is October 31st at Ecole 42.
ooh,
That's all next
Halloween.
week.
Is Halloween a thing in France? I don't know, but it is here. So maybe they'll get dressed up. All right. Again, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
David?
I would like to drop a bomb on everyone before we go. So this week we are going to or this next week we're going to launch our vision video for our Elysium and Cognitive product, but I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek first.
All right, let's do it.
So I've just sent it to the group chat. It's probably too big to play on the video because it won't play correctly.
But try. There's do the share. When you share, click the audio or whatever, and I think it might work.
I think it's too big. It would probably blow it up. I mean, the full HD size of this thing is 67 gig. So it's on YouTube, but I shared the link down here in the chat, and you can go and have a look at it and see what we're actually up to. So essentially, we're building a $20 billion AI managed city in South Florida.
Incredible. I can't wait to see this.
What part of South Florida?
It's just south of Lake Okeechobee, so it would be right in the west of West Palm Beach, about 60 miles.
Okay.
So we're dead center.
Nice. I had a small hotel in just Madeira Beach on the Gulf Coast, and the day I bought it, it got hit by a hurricane.
Oh,
but
no.
luckily, yeah, literally, I'm like, should I sign? Should I sign? Like, and I ended up biting the bullet, and my neighbor lost his roof, but we were fine.
Wow.
And then I ended up selling it a few years later during COVID, and I'm like I don't know, not too long after it was like dead center where some random hurricane and it was totally wiped off.
No.
It's totally
Well,
gone.
we're building to Cat 5 plus hurricane rating, so essentially about 200-mile-an-hour winds will be able to sustain at this property without any kind of issues.
Okay. Well, this place didn't survive. I think it was like a Cat 2 or something, but that was enough. And the entire
Cat 1.
The entire island. It was a barrier. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Madeira Beach in Florida, but it's basically a barrier island. The entire island was swamped, and basically everything was just kind of washed away. But
Absolutely.
anyway, you're
We'll have a
inland,
video
right?
of it. We'll keep chatting about this. I mean, it's a big project. We're out hiring probably around 300 people to help build out the cognitive aspects of this over time. And so the goal of it is a fully agentic type of managed city.
So explain that to me a little bit. An agentic managed city. That's this idea of kind of an AI powered sort of. What does that mean?
So we're essentially working with Google and NVIDIA on bringing in an NVIDIA SuperPod on site, on-prem, and also a quantum AI type of system long-term at the site. And the whole area would be run by our Verdant AI system on site. And essentially we'll have roughly 3 million to 4 million sensors throughout the city, VLM, ALM, LLMs, everything running the whole city on different scales, plus swarms of different types of AI agents running throughout the city, helping to manage and proactively and preemptively look for problems, solve them before they become issues.
Did you ever see that? There's a movie, Elysium, or something like that, where there was
Oh
like
yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yes.
very dystopian. Yes.
Okay, so you're not going to be like the orbiting AI in the sky for like the tier one people or anything like that, right? It's
We will have that. We are planning on monitoring everything from 700 feet below the ground to 2,000 feet in the air. And our CTO, the ex-CTO of NEOM project in Saudi, where we wanted to know if a bird flies through our district, we want to know what type of bird it is.
is that the
So
500 mile city that they're building or something?
no, it's a 6 square mile city, fortunately. The one in Saudi, of course, is $3 trillion and 250 times larger than what we're trying to scale and build in the United States.
Okay. And what's your sort of, I don't know, what do you want to call it? A lot of these places have some kind of like secondary philosophy in terms of like civil society. What's your philosophy here?
Well, we were just on yesterday with the World Happiness Foundation, so we definitely want to be the happiest city in the United States. But also, our goal is to utilize the high net worth and ultra high net worth crowd in South Florida to have massive sustainable breakthroughs. So we're going to try to realign and have wonderful new international building codes across the board that are found at our location, using the whole city as a living laboratory.
Okay. Interesting experiment. I'm excited to see where it takes you.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
it's was it Peter Thiel or someone that wanted to create some kind of like floating civilization and stuff like that? It's not that, right?
No, no, absolutely not. No, we've looked at we've done a couple thousand pages of risk analysis on why
Mhm.
the 90 plus projects have stalled or failed in America, and 70% of them have failed because they're trying to set up their new government style, a new utopian type of dream idea of a government. And unfortunately, that requires the old government's approval for that. And the older government doesn't want to put themselves out of business or make themselves look bad, so they usually never approve it, or they stall it forever until the project's dead. So we're just a quote unquote, we're a micro city, but honestly, we are a big mixed use private community that's not a city. We're run by a corporation.
Are you planning for what some would call the sort of post AI society that they think is going
I
to
can't
emerge?
tell you about the underground bunkers that will be built for select clientele at the site, but yes, that there is that potential of really happening at this location.
Yeah, so I gotta run here a minute too, but there's a growing consensus among a lot of AI folks that we're in the next 10 years going to go through some kind of traumatic change in society that's going to be brought on by some kind of singularity, and that from the ashes of that, some sort of new utopian society will emerge. And that conversation seems to be happening a lot. And that breaks down into this kind of a utopian dystopian sort of discussion. I think you're leaning towards utopian, I would guess. Who's going to build a
We
dystopia?
are, but we're also building in a private network that's firewalled from everything else, has no AI on it, everything, just in case.
Battlestar Galactica. I get you. You, you,
There you
you know
go.
what?
Yes, exactly.
When the Cylons show up, you're going to be protected. I
That's
see
exactly
all.
right. Yes.
So we got Elysium with whoever that actor was, and we've got the Battlestar Galactica when the Cylons take over, and we got a few other air gapped precautions in place. Now, what do you do
Required.
for the like? How do you separate the haves from the have-nots? And is that a concern?
It's not really going to be an issue. This is a private membership country club, so it's mainly 8 different distinct districts designed by one of the top architect firms for each district in the world. And then there are the 3,000 residential units that will be for employees. And we are even working with groups currently to build a construction as a robot service for building out our site. So we believe that by year 3, we'll have approximately 2,000 robots on site building the actual infrastructure and the buildings.
Really?
So yeah, absolutely.
And I would guess those robots were going to provide some sort of security in the apocalypse, or like I'm not even kidding you. Like
A little bit of
is that
everything. We
yeah.
think that we'll have around 3,000 human bipedal type of employees, and we'll have somewhere in the 2 to 3,000 robotics employees post construction.
Okay.
Moving forward. Everything from automated hamburger flippers and baristas and everything in between.
This is something I want to see. Next time I'm in Florida, I'll have to, when you're going live, let us know. This sounds fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We plan to break ground about next year at this time.
Okay. Well, I know where I'm going at the end of the world. Thanks for thanks for
come celebrate it with them.
You got to wear your t-shirt.
Yeah. Am I part of the problem or am I your solution? I don't know, but I'm definitely involved.
Peace.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
And thanks everyone who's helped out. And I see Martin. Martin, thanks for giving me the push to get that website up and going. You definitely gave us a little bit of extra momentum there. So hopefully next week we'll get that website up and going for you.
I'll be delighted to see it. Thank you.
Yeah. So sometimes we need a little extra, get a little extra shove, and so I appreciate you doing that. And everyone else, like Matt, thanks for again everyone for showing up today. Till next time. All right.
Good seeing
Have a
everybody.
great weekend.
Adios.
Thank you.
Okay. See ya.